This is Jerry Agar on NewsTalk 1010.
It's a good day for Canada.
Can you tell us about dairy? What did Canada have to give up in these negotiations?
Talk to you guys tomorrow.
Is everybody happy now? Maybe not. So there's a new agreement with a brand new name, and it's not snappy like NAFTA. Whether you like NAFTA or not, it was just easy to say. And we don't know how we're going to refer to the US-Mexico-Canada trade agreement. The see, it just doesn't flow. So we'll have to figure out what to call it, because it's cumbersome to always just say the US-Mexico-Canada trade agreement. I liked Ryan Knight, one of my panelists earlier. He said he doesn't understand why Trump didn't push through calling it Trumpta. We'll drop NAFTA and call it Trumpta. Hey, the U.S. has Obamacare. Why not Trumpta? Well, maybe Canada and Mexico wouldn't like that so much. But that said, where do we go next with all of this? Couple of experts weighing in. International trade lawyer Mark Warner, specifically on the dairy aspect, said this is all good. We'll get cheaper cheese and dairy. That was on Moore in the Morning this morning. Meanwhile, the vice president and deputy chief economist for Scotiabank, Brett House, says it may mean marginally greater choice, but the extra access being provided to the U.S. isn't really that huge. So where does the dairy industry go next? Now, dairy farmer from Bowmanville area, Bruce Sargent, has been on the show a couple of times, and he and I have gone back and forth on supply management. I think we need to end it. He's a dairy farmer. He thinks we need to keep it. We're not going to re-argue that. We took two real good hits at it on the show not that long ago. I'm really curious now, how is the dairy industry reacting to specifically this agreement and what they know about it so far and what they plan to do next? So Bruce Sargent joins me. Good morning.
Hi, Jerry. Thanks for having me.
It's always good of you to come on. What's your reaction so far to what you've seen?
We're disappointed for sure as an industry. Justin Trudeau said that he was going to take care of supply management. We're happy that the system as a whole is okay, but these carve-outs are pretty unfair considering that we don't see the same carve-outs or any sort of concession on the American side.
Well, how do you react to the banker that I quoted saying maybe marginal choice will be added, but the extra access being provided to the United States really isn't huge? It's less than 4%.
Yeah, but if you were going to give up 4% of your lifetime income, that would be pretty significant for you. And it is going to add up for Canadian dairy farmers. And I do take issue with people suggesting that prices are going to change. Mark is wrong. They're not going to. We're going to see the processors and the retailers just take a larger margin, and the prices will be what they are in Canada.
Well, that may or may not be true. We would have to see. It might depend on how much of a price difference there could possibly be. Sometimes there's a price difference in that it doesn't go up as much as it might have, and that's much harder to see and prove.
Well, we see that in the Canadian dairy industry. The cost of production has gone up 3% in the past 3 years, and the consumer price index went down 5%. So consumers were getting more milk for less dollar, essentially.
Well, you know, when they increased minimum wage by actually a really high percentage, all we were told is business can suck it up and handle it. And if you're going to get 4% of the market as possible, less than 4%, as competition from United States, can you suck it up and handle it?
Well, this is 4% on top of the 10% that we already allow them tariff-free, whereas the U.S. only allows 3%. So that's a notable change, too. People say Canada's market is protected. U.S. market is protected more than ours. We have the 300% tariff on over agreed-upon limits of dairy. They have a 400% tariff. How's
this going to affect specifically your dairy?
So we are going to see a pinch in our paycheck for sure going forward. Hopefully it won't be too significant because margins are very tight on dairy farms. And I just think the most important thing for Canadian consumers is that they look for our little blue cow, our Canadian quality mark. If you see that on a dairy product, it means that it's 100% Canadian. So that's the best way to support us as this change goes forward.
So that's one of your marketing plans ongoing, is the little blue cow?
It's existed for a couple of years. It just changed 2 years ago to modernize it and to make it more accessible to processors and more appealing for them to use. But Yeah, we want people to look for the little blue cow all the time so that they can support Canadian dairy farmers.
You guys are quite a marketing or not marketing, but lobbying juggernaut. You've got something like $100 million a year or something like that. And so will you continue to go after government on this, or is it too late now? Whatever the change is negotiated in the new agreement is what it is.
So there is a little bit of gray water in the agreement. Class 7 was mentioned as being removed. The thing is that that's not federal jurisdiction necessarily. It's actually provincial.
Right.
So we need more time to know how exactly that's going to play out. But the important note there is that Class 7 was created in response to Class 4, which
can you take
created.
A moment, Bruce? Take a moment and give us the thumbnail version of what that means. Class 7.
Yeah. So dairy farmers are paid based off of the end use of the milk. So Class 1 is your liquid, like fluid, regular cartoned milk. And then as you go down the list, you get cheese, ice cream, butter, and then the Class 7 is a protein powder. It's called diafiltered milk. It was first created by American processors to get around the original NAFTA, and they were sending it up here, and Canadian processors were using it. So Canada created Class 7 to match the American Class 4 so that we could supply our domestic processors with this diafiltered milk. So whatever this elimination shift means in the text isn't clear yet, so we need more information on that.
All right, one last thing. I'm talking to Bruce Sargent, who is a dairy farmer from the Bowmanville area. As you correctly point out, some of the rules are federal and some of them are provincial, and it looks to me, as conservative as Doug Ford is, he seems to believe in continuing to protect dairy farmers.
Doug Ford did put out a statement this morning that he's concerned about the changes these impacts will have on the on the Ontario dairy industry. So we appreciate his support there too.
Dairy farmer Bruce Sargent, always good to have you. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Jerry. I really appreciate it.